Let me ask you this. How long does it take somebody to get up and running and be proficient enough in Figma to design an iPhone app? Back to that, like, I'm going to make Calm a meditation app or something, or Sam Harris's Waking Up meditation app. How long does it take to make an app of that sophistication, which I would put at medium, right? It's not like it's Uber where you have a lot of crazy data sources and stuff like that, but it's, it's not one function app.
Well, as a fan of like that sort of app, like Calm, Headspace, etc. Like, I think I'm just thinking about the interfaces. I mean, I think to go from zero to learning how to replicate that in Figma, you can do that in a few hours probably. Now, if you want to go to the point where you're a designer that's able to create a new experience of that quality, well, that's many years, right? Because like that's actually a craft.
That's the craft, right? The craft. So just duplicating it.
If you can do that in years, I'll be very impressed and want to hire you.
Yeah. So people can get up and running in a couple of hours, have some level of proficiency. As a SaaS business, right, you charge per person per month. Per seat? Is
per seat.
What does it cost per seat per month?
So it's different tiers. So it's free for individuals up to a few people.
Got it.
So if like you're just like watching this or listening to this and you want to try it, there's literally no downside.
Got it.
If you get to the point where you're at a few editors, $15.
So multiplayer mode?
Actually, you can do multiplayer mode even when drafts. Once it gets to 3 people, then we charge you for basically a pro license. And so it's $15 a month per editor, or $12 a month if you commit annually.
So it's essentially free.
It's pretty cheap.
$150 a month.
Yeah,
like
a year.
When you think about
yes.
that, $150 a year. If you're doing a startup company, and even if you had the most modest of funding, $25K from your aunt, like you can afford
and that's the
$500 a year for the three of you to be on it, right?
And then also if you're an enterprise company and you need more sophisticated security controls, stuff like that, then it's $45 a month per editor. So there's a little bit of a price increase there.
Oh yeah, so that's
but also the value that you're getting is also a lot more as well.
Got it. And so that's $600 a seat per year or something like that, $500-600.
Yeah,
which puts you in the Creative Cloud kind of versus Adobe kind of space.
I mean, we're still significantly cheaper than Adobe.
Oh yeah, what does Adobe charge for something?
It's all over the place. It depends on which
pay,
bundle.
$25 a month or something. I think
you probably have like a SKU where you're only a few different apps.
Yeah.
So there's like a bundle where it's sort of a photography bundle for like I think $10 or something.
Yeah.
But then there's other sort of there's like an educational SKU. There's like a business SKU.
Got it.
There's like a SKU for other stuff.
I heard you before talking about a little bit about like getting through legal and all this stuff.
Yep.
Is SaaS at this point as a category for buyers cookie cutter enough that you can just say, go to this URL and you can buy 500 seats? Or do people who are buying hundreds of seats need to have a salesperson walk them through everything and make a specific contract for that company?
This is a great question. Yeah. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. Figma is oriented towards being a bottom-up model. Right. And we're trying to make the business as efficient as possible.
Explain that to people who don't know. In SaaS, software as a service, basically a subscription like Netscape, like Netflix.
Yep.
What does bottom-up mean in this regard?
So bottom-up means that people in your organization are able to adopt it, and they're able to spread it without having to be to like necessarily get a lot of buy-in from others around them. And if you're able to do that on a credit card, and people are able to be empowered to actually get their own tools. Hopefully they're able to first trial Figma, for example, for free, and they can go like have a purchasing conversation with somebody if they need to. That's like our ideal scenario is they're not even paying for it. And then they're like, this is actually really good. Like, let's go bring this into the organization. Let's have this entire team on this. And for what it's worth, we also see a lot of people spread Figma when they change jobs. They'll bring it with them.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
People are hopping between jobs every few years and they're bringing the tools they like. But anyway, so to go back to the question about bottom up and legal and sort of what the buying decision looks like, we're seeing a range of behaviors right now. There's definitely a ton of companies that need to spend multiple months or whatever evaluating software, go through a rigorous process, especially at larger corporations. And we've got a great, amazing sales team that's like able to partner with them on that.
Got it.
We also see
what is their main concern? Like, what are they trying to accomplish with all that friction?
So, I mean, like, security is a big one. So, I want to make sure that if you are a cloud provider, that you're going to be as secure as possible. And so that's something that, like, for example, we've gone through like the SOC 2 process now, which is it's basically just a process to make sure that you're able to be as secure as possible, even though you're hosted in the cloud.
So you have all of my designs. I'm, I don't know, Nike or something, and I'm building a bunch of
lot
apps
of trust.
and stuff. I have to trust that your people are not looking at my designs,
exactly right.
leaking it or selling it, or the Chinese government or the Saudi government hasn't put a plant into Figma like they did at Twitter. The Saudis actually did this. You hear that story?
No, I did.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so there's SOC 2, I was simplifying before, it encompasses a wide variety of controls, everything from like hiring, offer approvals, all the way to like how are your servers run and what are your run books for those.
Oh, really? So how do you worry about that? I'm curious, like this international espionage that you could actually have like a Russian, Saudi, or Chinese spy working for you at Figma? Like, it's
not
crazy
at
that
this
we
point
even
too
think
much.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're pretty small scale, and I think, but that said, we're designing the processes to make sure that we are very validated with every hire we make. We do background checks on everybody, like making sure that we're able to feel secure about the data that we're hosting. But just to go back to your earlier point, because I think it's a really good one.
Yeah.
One thing that we've been working towards and we're going to launch soon is the ability to also self-serve onto our highest tier, which right now you have to talk to a salesperson for.
Right.
And so it's just really important, I think, for a lot of companies to be able to like have that self-serve motion for every tier. Because not everyone wants to talk to a salesperson. If you do, great, they're there.
Oh,
but if you don't want to talk to some salesperson, like, why do you have to?
I just want to order my Tesla online. Like to me, I mean, literally, I had to buy a minivan, and my biggest fear with buying the minivan was going to a dealership.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God.
You don't want to be sold to. You don't want to have to like get the upsell, whatever. You want to be control your destiny.
Or sit in a room. Like I'm in part of some prison experiment where they're going to leave and some other person's going to come in. You literally feel like you're being accused of murder and they're like setting a good cop in, then a bad cop in. And then you're like, okay, sign these papers. And I'm like, what am I signing? Do I need a lawyer here? It just feels like horrible, that experience. But I think, so you're saying the big companies will even come and self-serve to buy 500 licenses or something.
Well, we haven't seen that yet because it's not shipped, but that's my hope, is that we'll start to see more of that.
How do you deal with and we'll do this when we get back from the break, but I'm an investor in a company called Capiche.com.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Okay. So what Capiche.com is doing, run by Austin Peter Smith, who worked for me at Inside, or with me at Inside, I should say. They are tackling the disparity in how much does this SaaS software cost? Because in our founder secret Slack, the number one sport for startups is to compare who got the cheapest price in negotiating with a SaaS company, and then go and say, my friend got it for this amount. I need you to match it.
That's a really easy free answer for Figma. We don't do discounts.
Yeah. And so
at all.
Here's Capiche and Secret Society for SaaS Power Users. And here they are talking to each other about, you can apply for access, but you have to go in and in order to become a member of the community, you have to give your pricing. But